Alright, so at this point we're going to be reinstalling the Flywheel. Now, first things you guys are going to note is this is a 2013 DMF. I decided to opt for the 260mm clutch face and try a Flywheel HD clutch and pressure plate, which we'll be covering next. But for right now we're going to be installing the Flywheel. Now the Flywheel is sitting on a keeper pin which sits behind here. Okay. I've already put it on. And then there is a section on the crank that is shaped like this, and it kind of rests on there. So not all that much is actually holding it on. Now we're going to be installing the ARP flywheel bolts. Okay, and first things you're going to note is that there is ARP thread lubricant on the head surface, but there's none on the threads, and that's because we're going to be using Permatex Thread Locker Blue. Right here there's going to be a thing saying exactly what ARP recommends. I don't recommend using red Thread Locker, just FYI. So we're going to put some Thread Lock on there, and then we put them all in. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and get them all in, and then we will continue. Okay, so before I get too far in here, I know particularly Chris, you were wondering if you were doing it right. So the ARP lube is down at the bottom of the head, and then you've got the Loctite, the blue Loctite up top. Now you don't want to cover the whole length of the threads, and you don't want to run it all the way around. You want to leave a gap in the middle there. Okay, about, I don't know, a quarter of the round stock of it. And then you should be following, to put this in, a fairly straightforward pattern of farthest, always traveling to the farthest. Okay. So say you start at the top, you'll go here, and you'll go here, and you'll go here, and you'll go here, then you go here, and then down. This is really easy because the 2.0T uses a 7-bolt pattern for their thing. So, and now that we got those all in, we will proceed to torquing them. So some of you guys on the forum have been asking about this Flywheel HD clutch kit. Okay, now this is only for a 2013 that I've been able to find it for, but its part number is HD162, made in Korea, ICH, PHC, and Flywheel. Okay, now PHC is the Korean arm of Flywheel, which is a French clutch company. So it'll probably wave the white flag relatively quickly. But either way, so the 2013 Flywheel is on, and then you got a clutch disc. The clutch disc, now this side faces out, and then on the other side you just got that, and it's just got PHC Flywheel written all over it. Now, unlike a lot of the other ones that I've seen, these don't have Hyundai written anywhere on them. So, and the this pattern here seems to be a bit different. Now, how that works, I don't know yet, but we'll figure it out. Now, as for the pressure plate, it is also the HD version, the heavy-duty version, and physically, since I don't have a 2013 clutch kit, the factory one, I can't tell you 100% which way or the other, but it also has no markings for Hyundai, except that it says HDC 128, I think. Yeah, I think it's 8. So, physically, I don't really see all that much of a difference. I'm assuming this here is the self-adjusting mechanism. It's still a self-adjusting clutch, which means what it does is it slowly moves closer and closer as the clutch disc wears, it'll only retract so far, and then go back, and then retract so far, and then go back. And that is to make it so as the clutch wears out, you don't get more and more pedal travel. Some people like it, some people don't. I don't really care one way or the other, to be honest. Now, you bolt it down with these, which are 12 millimeter. I think they're M12 by 1.25 bolts, and there's 6 of them. And they go in dry, and I have to find a torque spec for them because I don't have one. So I looked in the manual and I can't find it, so I'm just going to have to keep poking around. But that's the HD clutch kit, and that's going to be bolted up there. Now, the HD throwout bearing, and there's a little bit of rust on it because, one, I wasn't aware of this, but the HD throwout bearing is made out of steel, not brass. So it's probably going to be really noisy, I think. But it's a steel throwout bearing. And we'll find out how it holds up. But it looks pretty much exactly like the Hyundai one, except that where Hyundai was cast in it, that got scratched out, and the throwout bearing is steel instead of brass. Because this is a factory one over here, and it's brass. There's no rust, even though it's been sitting on my garage floor for like ever. It's blown the banjo let go. But, and then that's a 2010 style clutch. So we'll get this bolted up, and I'll give you guys a final look. Alright, so everything's mounted but not tightened down because, one, I don't know the torque specs, and two, there is a pin. Can't really see, but there is a guide with a bunch of splines on it that goes in and lines the clutch disc up with this port here and with the crankshaft. And that's important because you want this centered, otherwise you're going to have a bitch of a time trying to get your transmission to mount to it. So these pins here might be a little bit tight, just FYI, on whatever you do. There's the bolts. Pin's right there. And then the other pin is up here. And they help with rigidity for the pressure plate trying to spin independently of everything else. A couple of notes is the pressure plate casing here. You've got quite a heavy-duty spring here to the pressure plate casing, and that's your pressure plate area is cast steel, which I also find kind of interesting, whereas your outer hat is stamped steel. So that's how most of them are, just FYI, but it's definitely not the premium way of doing things. So that's pretty much it for the flywheel install. I'm going to get the starter and everything lined up. Well, the starter's already pretty much lined up. You just kind of mount it like that, and then it does its thing. And once I get this lined up and that torqued down, then mounting it, then we're just going to mount it into the engine bay, and we can start putting the rest of the accessories back on. So pretty quick little video. Thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Kind of a quick little add-on, or whatever you guys want to call it. In case you guys are not aware, if you're taking your engine apart yourself and doing it for the first time, you may or may not actually have what I'm about to show you. Hopefully, though, you have it and it's not an issue. But just in case you don't, we're going to talk about this little thing here. And what it is it is a gasket or a sealing cap. And save yourself some embarrassment and make sure you buy one of these, because my technician who was the last person to remove this cover, had obviously forgotten to to replace this sealing cap, and completely screwed me here, because I've had to since take my timing cover off again after discovery of said cap, because when I took the cover off the first time, this did not exist. So where does that leave me? Well, this does sort of explain some of the issues I had, because oil was leaving the head and then dousing everything. So it explains a couple of different things, why my oil was foaming all the time, blah, 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 blah. But essentially what this does is it creates a seal between the head and this little oil chute in the timing cover, which drains the oil down here, rather than having it cascade and fall on your seal, which also could explain why my seal would blow pretty much every other week. Pressurized stuff and whatnot. So, I guess, damn it, I took it out of my pocket. There's going to be a part number right here, and that's going to be the part number for that sealing cap. So save yourself some trouble, buy a new sealing cap. According to Hyundai, it is a non-reusable part. Once it's gone through heat cycle, it needs to be replaced. And make sure that you get a new one before you put your valve cover on in the first place.